live stream. Oh, I flipping.
It's just the three of us today?
It's us three. It's us three. Hold on. Right, do redirecting. I think we are live. Let me just quit this. Okay, right. We're live. Okay, let me just do all my bits. Chat amongst yourself.
Okay.
You look lovely, by the way, Susie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Look.
So do you? Oh, there's a tree. Oh, fantastic!
It's beautiful.
That's my tree of life.
Yeah, well, yeah. And where's yours? Got necklaces on. Okay, I'm going to stop yabbiting on. Let me just get this sorted. Oh God, I so love you. Happy flipping Friday. Happy Friday.
Yeah, it's another Good Friday. It's not Good Friday with a capital G, but it is another Good Friday.
It is. It's a great Friday. It's a great flipping Friday. Hold on. So let me share this. Copy link. How was your weeks then? All good. I know I spoke to you for ages. I think spoke last time. We were chatting on about everything we do.
Yeah. You're like pretending that we don't know how the week has been since we kept in touch, almost daily.
Yes.
Freedom.
It's so wonderful to be able to know you so well and at this level. I've always looked for this type of relationships where you can really be yourself and to be connected to depth, not to the superficial. What type of color of lipstick do you prefer? Talking at the soul level. So I love that, and I'm grateful for that.
Oh, I like that name as well. Real talk.
Real talk.
Yes.
Real talk, real sharing.
Remember that.
Remember that. I write it down. I'm your secretary today.
Yeah. Oh, get in there.
Yes, be the note taker.
Gorgeous.
I was listening to one of these Orthodox monks and priests. One actually who lives in Scotland, somewhere in England. I don't know where. I have to look for it. But his amazing, and his speeches are always very inspiring to me. And he was saying that when you are saying something to someone who's going through something difficult, think not 100 times or not 200 times, 1,000 times, and choose your words carefully. Every word that you say matters. You cannot go too lightly. You cannot go and be too superficial. You cannot be too rough. You really have to choose your words carefully, and I love that. We really have to think before we speak. Is the word that I'm using reflecting exactly what I'm feeling now? Or is it simply something that I picked up? It's an idea that I picked up and I'm just delivering it as a speech of, encouragement.
And it's just chatter.
That's the thing. We get used to saying the same.
Yeah, we get used to saying things automatically, but it doesn't apply to everybody. Am I really listening to the person in front of me? Right. Or I just, think what I say, say what I think, and that's it,
Absolutely.
So I've been blessed with a switch. Now I think what I do is when it's a crisis. This is when it is a crisis. When my daughter had her baby and we thought all was well, and going on midnight, she rang me and said she's got a heart defect and she might die.
Oh God.
Then that is what I'm calling a crisis. Then
hopefully crisis,
there's like a switch that I flick, and I think what I do is I hand it over to God. God, use my mouth, because I do not know what there is to say. And I know it isn't me speaking, because there's a lot fewer words. There's not many words. There's a lot of witnessing and not many words and no instructions. So I know it isn't me. And all I did with Lizzie that night was say a lot of, yes, I know, that must be awful. A lot of that, a lot of witnessing like that, a lot of silence, a lot of listening, and no solution, because I ain't got one. Have I?
No, there's no solution.
Not in that phone call.
No. Well, on that note, we're going to talk about today Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone that's watching Facebook, Insta, YouTube. Hello. Good morning. So today, for our therapy talks, we're going to be talking about freedom. It was a subject suggested by our beautiful Linda right here. It was indeed. And it is such a blimmin' good subject, isn't it? I mean, because that's the one thing, that's one of, no, not the one thing, but it's one of the main things that we all want and need to feel, which is freedom, right? So freedom can be in so many different areas. You've got freedom of speech, freedom who you want to be in a relationship with, freedom to choose, freedom of yourself, of your soul, freedom of religion, freedom of voting, freedom to be free, to travel. I mean, freedom to buy what you want to buy. We are our own ships. We're our own ships, and we want to navigate those ships in the right areas. And we are free. We got the sea. We got the sea to travel, and the oceans. So we can be free. And freedom to me, it's so incredibly important. But the most important thing is that I need to feel free, because whatever's going on externally around me, it may be so noisy and so cluttered and so messy and so unfree technically. But as long as I feel free inside to be who I am and to express my views, and freedom of voice, oh my God, so important. So as long as I'm free, if I feel free, I am free. That is it. If I feel free, I am free. And we can all be free, because we can all feel free, and how we feel free. So freedom, how do we get it? How do we do it? And what does it take? That is where we are starting our podcast. And because we're free to do a podcast, because I'm going on to that next. So we're going to be doing that next. I'm just talking to someone now about doing a podcast. So freedom. When do we truly feel free? There's the question right now. Linda.
Right, great. I've got a handle on this, because it was in my on my page. I worked through it during a couple of weeks ago, posted every day on freedom on my page, because it's what we all feel we're desperate for, aren't we? We're desperate for the freedom to go to the pub, for the freedom to go to a cafe with a friend, for the freedom to go on holiday. All of this out there freedom that you've mentioned. Yeah, that busy freedom. Yes, we're desperate for it. And it seems we can't have it, because you can't, if the cafe isn't willing to open and go against the restrictions, then you can't go to it, can you? You can't barge through that restriction. So I thought there's internal freedom, which is what you're calling feeling free. So I figured that there are 4 things we can have freedom from. We can have freedom from fear, freedom from control, not external control. No. Freedom from triggers, and freedom from worry.
Love that.
So freedom from fear makes me think of my sister, who's she was a stunt performer for many years, and now she's a stunt coordinator. She worked on many big films and TV series. And everyone said and she's leapt out of aeroplanes, and she's turned over an Arctic. And she's what's called a horse mistress. Now that is not dodgy. It's not a dodgy thing. It means that she can help actors who want to do their own riding, so she can coach them, or she does it for them. So she can do all this stuff. And many people say to her, "Oh, you must be fearless," and she says, "No. I feel the fear the same as you do, but I do it anyway." And we know, don't we? What is her name?
Feel the fear, do it anyway.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. I can't remember that author's name, but yeah. So that's an interesting thing. And what I was thinking as well about fear, so what I'm thinking about fear is so you can make decisions to push through the smaller fears.
Yeah.
If you've got bigger fears, get help, because they can be removed. Fortunately, this is what I put in my post. Fortunately, if you get some help, we've got methods that mean you don't have to just jump out of that plane or turn over an Arctic or skid your motorbike, lay down your motorbike on the corner. Freedom from control is very interesting because sometimes we are trying to, maybe always, we're controlling because we do not want to be controlled.
Yeah.
But who's in control? If you look at OCD, or you look at eating disorders, and it probably fits everything, then we jump through these hoops. So eating, we're not eating that thing, and that's not safe food. If it's OCD, we're going through our rituals. We're tapping on the wall, or we're counting before we go down the stairs, or whatever we're doing. Who is in control? We do that because we're trying to control the OCD or the eating disorder. Yeah. We're not in control. It is controlling us.
Of course.
And I would say I still am a controller. So I would say those of us that need control, we could start looking at what is that? Why do we need that control? Why do we feel we need that control? What is actually controlling us? Yeah. And some of it, again, some of the smaller things we can deal with.
We feel that it makes us safe. That's what it is, because we're controlling it, because our past experiences have taught us that if we do this, it'll all be okay.
It will be okay. But our responses, this is what I want people to think about, is think carefully about your responses. Right. Do they make a jot of difference at all? Because I suspect they don't. I suspect those of us that want to be bullies in conversation, want to dominate the conversation. Yeah. Does it get us what we want, which is everyone to hear us? No, they're going to switch off, aren't they? And think, I'd like a turn in this conversation, but I'm obviously not going to get one.
Yeah, it's repetition. Repetition, same as what we were just saying before about your language. If more you repeat something, the more it becomes real, the more it is, so yes. It's another form of repetition.
It takes a life of its own.
It does. Susie, I'm going to come to you right now, but Linda, what were the 4 things that you said? You said fear, control.
Fear, control, triggers, and worry.
Worry. Love it. We're going to talk about those 2 in a minute. Susie.
Yeah.
Talk to me about.
Well, I haven't prepared anything ahead of time, but listening to Linda, she's always an inspiration. What came to mind in terms of freedom, and as also what you said about being a state. I think since we define everything in their opposites, in the dualistic perspective, right? Freedom can be defined as the absence of a sort of an imprisonment, right? Mm-hmm. So we define freedom as the opposite to the lack of freedom. And so there could be all sorts of categories of freedom, as Linda said, but from a different perspective, like what type of an imprisonment are you experiencing? You can feel imprisoned or blocked or locked. Many people think that I feel like I'm feeling stuck into a situation, in a job, in a relationship, or even in a particular body. And as I'm working with the Ayurveda and the body types, most of the people feel imprisoned in their own bodies, because each body has its own challenges and each body has its own difficult aspects to deal with. And when we're not completely and fully how do you say, when we don't embody fully our body,
Yeah.
so
alive.
that we feel completely at ease with every little aspect of it and every little cell in it, then we're going to have aspects of our body which we're going to feel less at ease with, and going to hate it, and we're going to feel imprisoned. And so I think when, if I am to look at freedom and lack of freedom from this Vedic perspective, yoga and Ayurveda, I think freedom can come only as a consequence of the realization of our true nature. Because I think, why do we want freedom? I've asked myself this question many times. Why is it that we all want it so much? And in the sessions, probably both of you know and have noticed, when we talk to people in regards to values and why this is important, why, the why behind it always reaches that. Freedom is one of the most important values.
Yes. Yeah.
And why would that be? And from what I've learned from the Vedic science, I think it is because this is who we are essentially. The core of our being is freedom. The core of our being is eternity. The core of our being is limitless, endless eternity. This is who we are. And there's always going to be, no matter how much we feel entrapped or imprisoned in this life, in this body, in these circumstances, in this pandemic, there's always going to be one little tiny drop of that remembrance, of that memory, of that freedom. And it's that grain of freedom in us that we can recall that will always push it to rediscover it. So if we have enough wisdom and knowledge, we can see this as a beautiful game, like what Alan Watts, because we were talking about him last time, would say, the game of hide and seek. Yes. Of the divinity in matter. So I think the only way of reaching that freedom is by accepting the imprisonment in the body. Once you accept this limitation, and if you are okay with it, then you are totally free. I don't think that total freedom exists as long as we are here in this physical material existence. So the real state of freedom, in my opinion, the way I see it now, it's the realization of that endless, infinite, immortal self that exists trapped in this limited being.
Beautifully put. There we are, right there. And do you know what? That is beautiful, because we are spirit. That's who we are.
That's why we want freedom, because we're free.
Yes, because because the core of us is spirit.
We're connected,
trapped in a body.
Yeah. We're connected to nature. We're connected to the universe. We're connected to each other. We're connected to every living being on this planet. We have an unseen connection to everything, and we are so flipping powerful, and we are truly free at the core. And as soon as we trust who we are and start looking inside, that freedom becomes even bigger and more real, because we are what we believe we are. And it's like when we're a child, when we're children growing up, that feeling of freedom, many of us, most of us, I'd say, had the freedom when we were a child to maybe go out and play and doing whatever we want, make believe. You know, we were pirates and doctors and nurses and all the things that we could be, because we could, right? We were free to be whatever we wanted. And it's only as time went on that the adulthood kind of set in, what we were meant to be doing, what we should be doing, the shoulds. I hate the shoulds. No more shoulds.
But you see, there is lots of freedom in the shoulds. You see, because it all comes down to the value. If I do something, even if because see, in all religions, if you look at it from this perspective, the spiritual perspective, even in Christianism, Orthodoxism, and in the Vedic science that I'm studying, these shoulds are not against ourselves. The should is the should that is in my nature. If I do the shoulds that are according to who I am, that is in respect of my own nature, then that should is a good thing, and I should feel free being in that should.
True. It's
the should that is freeing myself. That's actually
right. It's the learned shoulds.
The learned shoulds.
The learned shoulds. They are the shouldn'ts. Let's fly away with the learned shoulds, because we are free. We are. And when we're dreaming, when we're asleep, when we're connected to that world that we don't even realize we're connected to on a subconscious level, we are free. And some people dream and other people don't remember their dreams. It's like, you know, everyone's so different. But when we are in that other state, that's limitless. That's freedom. We are that soul, that spirit. We are just free to just be. Oh, how magic is that? The dream state is a powerful state.
Yeah, for sure. But do you think of birds, for instance, being free?
Oh,
Yeah?
yes, well, hold on, let me think about that for a minute.
Think of it. Linda.
Well, they can be free, but they're
Yeah, they can be free.
they're
I'm
also
not sure. I'm not sure they're free. They are tied to what they are.
Aren't we as
Oh,
well?
to their
Aren't we
form.
tied to our human condition?
Yeah.
Yes.
Except that
yes.
they are flying on the sky and they, chirp on the
They can
branches
fly
and-
in the sky, but they can't go on holiday they can't get on a plane and go on holiday, can
And
they?
they can fly there instead.
Well, not all of them. Not all of the, the sparrows have a territory. In the last house we lived in, we had sparrow bushes.
Oh.
One of them was an enormous bay tree. Well, it was bay bush. It was enormous. It was about 8-9 foot high and really wide. No one's ever seen one so big. And it was packed with sparrows. There were hundreds of sparrows in there. When it came to evening time, roosting time, you would hear them in there and they would be chirping and chattering and squabbling. You could hear that some of them were angry chirps and so on. And we had another one in the back garden as well. So your little sparrow can't fly to Egypt. Your bigger birds, they migrate, but are they free to? They're not free to choose where they go. They go where they are programmed to go. They can't choose.
Well, I would say that I would believe that they were free internally to be who they want to be, but their form, like our form, limits us in certain ways.
Yeah.
So their spirit may well be free, but they have to survive.
No,
and
but
there's certain rules they have to adhere to.
For sure, but if you think of the definition of freedom, like I said earlier, as the absence of restrictions, do you think they feel restricted? I don't think so. See, we are thinking of freedom, lack of freedom, through the filters of our minds, of our definitions of what it feels to feel free or not, or to be restricted or not.
Yeah.
As a mother, waking up every morning and at a certain time, preparing the breakfast for my girl, taking her through their routine, I don't see it, and it's a routine, right? I don't see it as a restriction. Is it a restriction or is it a freedom?
It's a choice, freedom of choice.
A freedom of choice. And can I look at it as a something that is restricting my own freedom, or should I look at something that is actually a fantastic thing to do, a routine that brings me to more love or to more meaning in life? You see, in the Vedic texts, yoga and Ayurveda, they say like this: there is no freedom without discipline. Because if I think that freedom is to stay up to 3 o'clock at night and drink and party and wake up at 2 o'clock the next day and do whatever I want, then I will feel completely imprisoned if I have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do a meditation and then, start working during the day. Yeah. So I think our notion of freedom is a bit, it's very individual.
It's a bit skewed.
Yeah. But to me, freedom is the freedom to choose to be the best that I can be. Here's where my freedom is in my own definition.
In any circumstance.
In my higher aspect of myself. I'm given that choice. I can be my lowest self, or I can be a better version of myself. Not better in the sense that I'm bad now, but expansive, or I don't know, an enhanced version of a human being, or being closer to the potential that is encrypted, encoded in me as a human being.
Yeah.
This is my freedom is, and this is where, even if I have to wake up at 4 o'clock, and I do sometimes to do my breathing exercise and my yoga, I don't find it as a restrictive or conditioning or a lack of freedom to do that.
No.
It's a discipline that increases the freedom, because the freedom is where perceived. That's why I asked you about the birds. Where do we perceive the freedom? In the mind.
Yeah.
So the mind needs to be freed. The body will always have to go through limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're free inside, I tell you.
Yeah. Yes.
So how do we free the mind? That's the question. How do we free the mind?
That's right. And I think the secret to that is focusing on what's important and what brings you joy, and focusing on what you believe. I mean, I will keep saying this again and again, but what we believe we are. We really
and believing, understanding and accepting the power of decision.
Yeah.
That we all have the power to decide. The power to decide what kind of day we're going to have. Yeah, no, maybe the bus will be late. We can't decide that, but we can decide how we will feel about that.
Yeah,
and state of mind. I feel, I've said it many times, I feel we many of us don't realize the power, that we have that power to decide. And once you realize you have it, Tony Robbins says, and I've probably said this before, Tony Robbins says, if you're giving up smoking, once you have decided it is done, there may be, you've got some actions to play out, but it is done. And I know that feeling when I decided reluctantly, but decided to become vegan. Again, it feels for me as if I've got a switch. That switch is flicked and I am only eating vegan. I cannot be tempted. You couldn't tempt me with a cream tea, with nothing. You couldn't tempt me. This is what I'm doing. I've decided.
For the purposes of your health. It has the reasons have to be so strong for you to get to that point.
Yes. There are other things I hope I've decided, and it seems I haven't. Because so there is still a difference. There's a difference between when I've absolutely decided and it's done.
There's a song, right, which is on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and Pure Imagination. Do you know that song? The lyrics?
No, I can't remember it.
Right, okay. So the lyrics, I might skew them up a little bit, but we're going to try for it. So it goes, come with me and we'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see something like behind your imagination. We'll begin with a spin in a world of, oh gosh, do you know what? Let me get the lyrics.
I get the lyrics.
Because these are really great lyrics. Pure imagination. Because I'll tell you what, this song, whenever I hear it, I just feel alive. Here we go. Here it goes. Hold your breath, make a wish, count to 3. Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with the spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Want to change the world? There's nothing to it. There's no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Cool.
Isn't it just magic?
Yeah, it is.
It gives me the chills every time, because those lyrics are just special. And really, what we see, we can create. We can create our worlds through what we see, what we say, what we feel, what we tell ourselves on a daily basis. So we can tell ourselves we are free.
Yeah.
And we can create a freedom in our worlds. We can create it.
Because we do it we do it the other way around, don't we? We say to ourselves, oh, this is awful, I've lost my job and now I won't be able to afford anything and.
Yeah.
How odd it is that we don't believe quite so strongly that we can tell ourselves, okay, so I've lost my job, but it will all be okay because I am strong and privileged. In fact, you know, the country we live in, we are privileged, aren't we? All of us who live here. And it's very odd that we don't. I guess if we don't believe it, it's because we don't understand how the negative is programming us. So I guess the people that don't believe the power of our thoughts and our words, I guess they're not believing the negative has power either.
Again, fear.
And yet it does.
Yeah,
fear. It has a lot of power.
Yeah, well, the body will always reflect that. So the body eventually shows that, you know.
Yes.
There's no way we can go around it. There's no way we can go around it. That's what I've been.
The body keeps the score.
Absolutely.
Keeps the score and shows the truth. And talk about songs. Remember, I sent you the link yesterday, Danielle.
Stevie,
and I want to read you the two, three lyrics. It's a free Stevie Wonder's free. Do you know it, Linda?
Stevie.
No, I don't think.
It says like this. I love it. It says, free like the river flowing freely through infinity, free to be sure of what I am and who I need not be.
Nice.
Oh,
isn't it just?
Free to be sure of what I am and who I need not be. So I think freedom is in what we can do, but I think in all those things that we want to do, and we think that freedom is being able to do everything. And in a way, it's understandable because as free spirit, as infinity, of course, we're exploring doing everything. However, freedom is also in not doing or not being something. It's freedom of not being something that I don't want to be. And this is also freedom. And sometimes it's more important what we don't do than what we do, because I'm dealing with lots of like people in my coaching who are going through these phases where they say, well, I don't know if I've done everything that I wanted in my life, and maybe I haven't accomplished enough, and I didn't have that freedom to choose more than I did so far. And I said, yeah, but think of all the things that you didn't do and all the things that you have restrained yourself from doing. How many times you wanted to do something and say something mean and you didn't? How many times you could have, screamed and put up a tantrum and you haven't? How many times you wanted to say something mean to someone, or you felt that jealousy coming and you haven't? That's because you kept it in, because you looked at it, because you admitted to yourself, and then you just were able to say something nice instead, something that was more, according to who you really are inside. So I think not doing and not having is also freedom of not doing.
Freedom is in your mind, and because it's your mind, you can change it. So you can do anything you want to do to make yourself free, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Oh, it's just like that's the one thing we really do aspire to be.
I like that phrase. That's another simple phrase that I think perhaps we don't always understand the power of. Change your mind. We say, don't we? So did you go on holiday then last month? No. Oh no, I didn't. Oh, why not? Oh, I changed my mind. So we say it so casually, as if we can change our mind, and then we object when we're told to change your mind to a better state of mind. Yeah, go. Oh, I can't.
Brilliant. I like that.
I don't think I can do that.
It's true, isn't it? And do you know what the most powerful thing is? Perspective. Because perspective on a situation just shows everything differently. Just everything differently. So where you may be trapped, there's a meme, I think it is, or like an image where the person's climbing up to try and get the gold. I think it's like a diamonds at the top or something, and they're nearly there, and then they turn back, but the other person's coming up and he's gonna get to it, because the other person, the first person thinks it's too far, I can't get there, you know what I mean, I'm never going to get there. Or is it digging down? I can't remember, but they're trying to get the diamonds, and he's turned back on himself, and the other person's still going, you know, because it's about the perspective. It may feel so far, but look from another perspective. Look where we're looking at that. Look, that guy's nearly there. You're nearly there. You can do this. And he's thinking, oh no.
Oh,
you know?
I have an amazing experience. It was amazing for me.
Yeah.
That showed that perfectly.
Yeah.
It's the arrow challenge. So yeah, so it was done in a big thingammy, a big whatever it was, gathering in London. So you do the arrow challenge. So there's a group. There was a group of us, and so you each have an arrow, and it's bendable. It bends, and it's not got a sharp point on it. It has a point, but it's just wood. It's just the wood, a bit like a pencil without the lead in it. Yeah, it's like that. And what you have to do, and you see it demonstrated, and so you can see that it happens, is you put the point of the arrow there in that soft part of your throat there at the bottom, yeah. And the person in front of you stands with the end of the arrow in their hand, and they push.
Ooh.
And then you watch it done, and the arrow bends into a big arc and then snaps.
Wow. Okay.
Now, these are the learnings from it. Absolutely fantastic learnings. So then we all go to do it. So some of us thinking, no, I'm not doing that. Bloody arrow here in my throat. No, I'm not. Oh, that is a foolish thing to do, even though you've just seen it happen and it was okay. And you have to, they ramp up the fear, because this is an overcoming fear thing. They ramp up the fear because you have to sign a paper to say that if you're injured at all, it's a disclaimer. Well, I wouldn't sign the paper, but I did do the thing. And Lucinda refused. She didn't sign, and she said, "I'm not doing that."
Wow.
She said, "But you see," I said, "Well, I'm going to do it because I'm stubborn anyway. I'm not going to have fear, control me." So she said, "No, but you're in a different position to me, Mum. I've got a family." So she was frightened by all this setup. It was done deliberately anyway. So there you go. So what I learned from it is, first thing you think is, that hurts more than I thought it would, since it is okay, an okay thing. Yeah. That is hurting more than I thought it would. The next thing, you've got a third person that is the encourager. The next thing is, you want to give up because it's hurting more. And just at the moment that you want to give up, the encourager says, "No, you're nearly there. Keep going, keep going." Mm. And you were. They took photos. The arrow is nearly bent double at the moment that you want to give up and think, "Oh no, this is getting dangerous now. It's not what I thought it was." So you just keep going, and the arrow snaps. I don't know if I've still got it. I kept that arrow for a long time, and I had it on my wall, that broken arrow. Yeah. It was so incredible. That is what you're talking about, isn't it? That
it is.
Giving up when actually you're nearly there. You're almost there. Just a split second more.
That third person point of view looking at that arrow can see everything very clearly. Yes. But you can't see the arrow. You can't see what's happening to it. And
you can't. So all you know is it's getting at and it was only ever discomfort. And the reason I did it is I thought, look, we all got the arrow, and you could look at it. And I thought, do you know what? If one of us here needed a tracheotomy, we'd be in trouble if all we had was this arrow. It's not sharp or anything. It's quite blunt. It's got a little point, but it's quite blunt. So that's how I psyched myself up to doing it. It was fantastic, though.
That's feel the fear and do it anyway, isn't it? That's basically what it is.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's what you perceived, you knew it was safe. You knew it in your head.
We saw it done. Yeah.
It was safe. But
the guy on the stage had done it many times.
Yeah, that's it. So it's just, and that's brilliant. It's pushing your limits, isn't it? It's pushing your character, you know, to get outside that comfort zone. Because when you're outside the comfort zone, that's when we grow, isn't it? Because we're doing things that we don't normally do, and we're experiencing things that wouldn't be comfortable in everyday life. Yeah. But you're learning from that, and you're experiencing. And
that learning is a deeper learning. It's a whole body learning, isn't it? When you do it, not just somebody said or you've read it in a book.
Yeah, you've got your freedom to find your best life. You just freedom to do what you want to do when you choose to do it. Happy days. Deciding. Good for you. That arrow. It's good because it's a visual reminder as well, isn't it? It's a visual reminder of what can be done. Yeah. That was great. Yeah. I found a quote. Right, I thought this was a really good quote. Okay, so this is by Owen Fitzpatrick. If you want to become free, or if you want to bring more joy into your life, you must choose to change in certain ways. You must choose to learn about freedom. You must choose to learn about change. You must choose to learn about how your experience and your problems. You must choose to learn about how you experience your problems. I've just messed that completely up. You must choose how you experience your relationships. You must choose how you understand the universe. You must choose how you act, how you think, and how you live. So that's if you want to become free. And it all comes down to choice, isn't it? It really does.
Decision again. Yeah.
That's a beautiful quote. It just lists it.
And it's encouraging, isn't it? Because he wouldn't say all of that if he didn't think we had the ability to choose. There would be no point in that quote if he didn't believe that we have the ability to choose.
See, in the situation that we're in at the moment, the pandemic, and there is a lot of restrictions. So it's something that we're experiencing that isn't normal for us. So there's a question, how do we find freedom if all we're seeing is that?
Choosing how to experience it.
Yeah,
as we said, we can choose how to experience it. We can push those boundaries if we want to. We can push those boundaries that can be pushed, that are within our personal control. And the rest of it, the cafe that is closed and the gym that is closed, we can choose how to experience that.
Yeah, and change it.
And change our mind. We can change our mind about how we're seeing it.
Yeah.
We can see it, that this is awful. And so there's a multi-mind thing I think needs to go on here. You can keep your values that say personal freedom, human rights are important and should not be taken away from us. We can do that. We can rebel against harsh restrictions. We can fight against it. We can go protest. We can do all of that while still experiencing it until it's changed, experiencing it in a calm and accepting way. It's possible to do both, because I do that. I feel very strongly our human rights should not be taken away like this. So I do various things, but I do not live my daily life with that anger and that resistance feeding my state of mind. My state of mind says, this is how it is. How can I help? How can I help myself? So I can meet with friends and have a picnic now. So we could do those kinds of things now. Yeah. If we can't do this, what else can I do that would be almost as nice? Yeah.
How can we make it look different to ourselves? How can we make
That's a good,
Yeah.
that's a good phrase. How can we make it feel better
and look, feel and
and
look
look better? Yes.
to ourselves.
And some in the activist groups, there are some that I feel so sorry for them. They are saying, oh my God, we might as well give up then. Nothing's happening, they've got themselves worn down. And then there are others who are just still feeling powerful, still feeling okay.
Everyone's perspective there.
Yes.
And we're nearly there. Just know.
Yes, we're nearly there. Yes. I said to somebody the other day, somebody said, oh, so this is and that's happening, and they've said this and said the other. So, so there's no point then, is there? And I wrote back to that. Oh no, someone said, oh, we need more people to join us, to be. No, I said, no, we are enough.
Yeah.
We are enough. We do not want those that don't agree with our way of mind to join us. They won't strengthen us. We are enough.
It's taking responsibility, isn't it? It's taking responsibility for in whole of everything that you believe in and everything that you choose and everything that how you want to live, like in every area of your life, taking responsibility and allowing it.
Yeah, assuming for how you feel and how you want to feel about what's going on.
How does that look?
I think you see when we look at all this spiritual, me, of course, I have to talk to the perspective of the science that I'm studying.
Yeah.
When we look at all these whys from the past or even from today, what do? And I was looking at the monk the other day as well. He withdrew himself alone on an island. Okay. And I've been always fascinated by people that give up the world to go and reflect and meditate. And probably I've been a monk in a past life. I've probably been a monk in a past life because I'm way too attracted by this. So I always wanted to understand these men and women who just give up the world and they go and live for God, because it's fascinating. And I've always asked myself, is that strength? Is that, cowardice? You want to, it's too harsh the world to live in, or you're simply really, really a special being? And I tend to believe that it's more being a special being after studying all these years, because it's when you give up on certain things, when you are in this restriction, in this imprisonment, it's there, the freedom. See, that's the paradox that we live as a human being. This freedom lays exactly in this very particular restrictive situation. So from this perspective, spiritual perspective, having certain things taken away and living more like monk style life, like isolated, it is another opportunity to find God, from my perspective, or to find who you are, in other terms, to speak to other people who don't necessarily look for God or something else. Yeah. But it is something that is being taken away, because you see that in this very perspective, the soul, or that eternal, is covered in layers. And the more you can observe and detach yourself from these layers, the more you can get to be into that. And this freedom comes only from your ability to discern and to distinguish between what is finite, what is limited and changing, and what is infinite and what is eternal. So it's only then that you have true freedom. And I'm sorry to say like this, but this is how they say it, and I tend to agree with that. It is lying to yourself, believing that if you travel more, you'll be more free. It is an illusion. It's not by traveling more or having a bigger house or having more job opportunities or having more coffees per day with your friends that you'll feel truly free. It will feel good temporarily. But the real freedom, because we talk about freedom, and I don't want to talk like halfway, and let's talk true, right? Let's talk real.
Yeah.
Freedom is that state in which you realize your nature, that you are eternal. And until you reach that point, you will always fool yourself and play in this game, of, oh, I want to be happy and I want to have more things and I want to do more things. So just another perspective, like from the spiritual, for those listening who are into this spirituality, you can use this opportunity of all these things that have been removed as a sort of anasthetism, of withdrawal. I'm alone in my own temple. And I was sharing with Linda yesterday or the other day. I had a very interesting experience in my meditation, in my prayer, in a way that I was so within myself that I kind of felt that I am the only human being on earth.
Wow.
It felt that way. It felt that everything else around, it doesn't matter, but that ultimately it is about me in relationship with God. And that if I chose something, it could affect the whole humanity, but not, I hope it will be understood in the proper way. We don't always find the right words, but the whole truth, the whole life was depending on me, because I am the only human being that I know, that I can possibly know, because I can see it from within. And if God can come, it's only in here for now that can come, because this is the only thing that I know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's clear.
It does make sense. It's where
it's in that sense that I am it. I am it.
Yes.
I am the human being created by God, and I am supposed to let it in. So this isolation, in a way, pushes you to go within. Go within.
Yeah.
Go within. That freedom is within. It's not in how many times you can go out with your friends for a coffee. And I'm not, again, I am the first one to want to be able to do things. But I can also understand that this desire comes from another level. It's not at the level of the freedom of the soul. The soul can feel free anywhere.
Absolutely. It's where your focus went. Your focus goes. Your focus is so important, where you believe, again, where you are free. And once you focused internally, that focus is just totally on who you are.
Yeah.
Yes. If you've only got yourself, then you can work with that. Yes, I'm interested in that. I like that idea that approaching the idea of what we cannot do, instead of waiting till we can do it, instead of missing it and regretting it and saying, oh, it's so awful, I can't wait until we can go meet the friend for the coffee. And instead of that, we can look at it and say, how else can I meet with this restriction? What other way can I bring myself into this restriction? What good is there for me?
Nice.
That I can take from this restriction?
Yeah, perspective yet again. And I wanted to quit because we talked again. So I love you.
Women are good at it. Women are good at talking.
We are, aren't we? But I want to talk about the freedom, like what you said before, from triggers and worry. Just to get through, just like to have a quick look at those, because freeing yourself from triggers. I think we kind of did talk about that a bit, didn't we, with the triggers and like the OCD and I guess so. So the triggers I'm thinking about are the triggers like where you open your mouth and you've done something, you've said something, and you regret it. You think, I didn't want to be that way. Yes. And now how do you recognize that? It's recognizing. Maybe it's recognizing. Yes. It's recognizing. And the first thing is you must recognize that what you did or said, how you handled a situation, was not your best self. Mm-hmm. It's not what you actually chose, but you could not stop it. Mm. There was no time.
we need to give ourselves that. NLP is all about this, isn't it? Giving ourselves freedom of choice.
That's right.
Giving ourselves that space to be able to wait, to pause, to think, what will I do here? What will I say here?
That's right.
And my mouth has opened, and I'm one of the first people to hear the words that come out when I'm triggered. What comes out, I don't know what it's going to be till I hear it. So I know I have forfeited that time. My only suggestion for triggers is to get help, and I offer free help.
Yeah.
There's free help. You do not have to pay money to get rid of triggers. In my treasure chest, I'll send you that link again so you can put it there.
Absolutely.
The freedom from worry is decision. Choose.
Staying present.
Yeah.
Yes. Choose how you want to be. Choose how you want to experience it. Even if this is, so the triggered is, it's all too late. You've done it or said it or handled it that way. It's all too late, which is why I feel it is especially important to get help for that. But the freedom from worry affects you. Well, it affects everybody else around you as well, but it's going to affect you mostly. So if you start to worry, all is not lost. There's time to realize you're worrying, realize you're being miserable, and choose differently.
Absolutely. And a lot of this, the triggers as well, is down to trying to control external circumstances. And it's allowing others and allowing yourself to know that there is no control externally, and the only thing that you can control are your own, your feelings, your actions, your thoughts, your words. You can control that. So,
but not if you're triggered. Not if you're triggered.
No, it's recognizing trigger.
So it's set up. Something is set up from wherever, from wherever it is. It's set up that when somebody speaks to you this way, or says that, or looks at you that way, this is how you will feel, and this is what you will say.
Nice.
I mean it when I say that, because I know it happens to me from time to time. It happens to me a lot less now, and it happens to me with my granddaughter, one of my granddaughters. And I was just talking with Lucinda about it this morning, and I've had enough of it now. I do not want to be triggered in how I'm forever bossing her about. She comes here every Thursday, and I see them in between sometimes. And my general thing is I'm bossing her about. And I was looking after them while Becky went for an appointment the other tea time, and I could hear myself forever telling Sienna to stop and what you do, and do this and do that. I didn't like it, but I could not stop it in that moment. And finally, I said to she bosses her sister about. She bosses Phoebe about. And finally, I thought, I've got to do something, though, to break this atmosphere, this tension. I'm bossing her about. She will know I am. I've got to do something. So I did do something, and we laughed about it, and it did break that tension a bit. She started to tell Phoebe what to do again, and I said, "Oh, Sienna, don't do that, because that puts us in the circle of hell. You boss Phoebe about, and then I boss you about." And we all were able to laugh and laugh. We laughed and laughed and laughed. Sienna laughed and laughed and laughed.
Beautiful.
It was the only thing I could look for to stop this thing happening. So I need to do some work on. I need to find what is triggering that in me.
And that's the thing, we've all got our triggers.
And resolve it. There's no need for it to be there.
No,
but at the moment, I cannot avoid it. I cannot decide.
It's understanding as well. Understanding that that's who they are. It's who that other person is sometimes. Like if there's a trigger there and it's around a certain person, it's understanding that you can't change that, but that's who they are, and loving all the parts of them
that's not a real trigger.
It's with my dad. He triggers me in many ways.
Yes, but understanding, there are reasons for understanding Sienna. She in turn cannot always control her behavior.
No.
But I know that, and I wish her well, and I wish, I do not want to be that person that bosses her about.
No.
But it's out of my mouth.
No, for sure. But with triggers is it's not a complicated work. First of all, you identify, just to give our listeners a hint on how we work with this. You first of all, you identify first time you reacted that way, because it is always the first time. Then you are working with the unconscious, reprogramming that particular, identify which particular moments and type of seconds or moment when it happens. And I did this work with our teacher, Terry, with my daughter, because I could recognize her mood as she was coming up the stairs from the sound of the steps on the stairways. I knew
so
how she would show up.
Trigger.
How she would show up in the room, and I would already feel my stomach tied up, and I would already feel in a defensive mode. So you identify the very first particular sign, and then you insert a powerful or empowered state that you are deciding to have. And eventually in time, by doing and repeating and by properly programming the unconscious mind, eventually, and I think I got so much better with my daughter. I'm so proud of myself, honestly, because I've changed. I changed so many of these triggers. But for those of you who do not have yet all this, I think just becoming aware. My teacher of Gurdjieff in Montreal was telling me that when you don't know what else to do, just keep something going. Do something with awareness, because triggers are automatic, mechanical. Awareness is the opposite. So let's say you feel that you hear yourself saying something, and you feel in that
state
takes over. Just being aware, for instance, of your left hand or your left foot, or just taking a deep conscious breathing, only that eventually breaks off this pattern. So just awareness is the key, or the antidote for triggers, because it's the opposite of it.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
And just to end our conversation, I just want to share, Danielle, maybe you agree that soon, we don't know where, maybe in a couple of weeks, we will try to organize these Zoom meetings.
Yes.
So this is not going to be any more live meetings. We want to put up a set of meetings on a weekly basis where we can meet and talk with you, the listeners, and it's not going to be recorded and it's not going to be broadcasted, so we can share freely what we feel and do exercises and do practices, and that will also be for free. Anyway, this is my intention, to start these Zoom calls once a week, where people can join and we can actually do. We can practice meditation, we can practice NLP, we can practice with those techniques, because practice is the key. Just by staying there, hoping it will happen, it won't. You have to do, and by doing, you get results.
Taking action, absolutely.
Taking action.
So if anyone does want to, anyone that's watching this that does want to speak to us, like as a group, and maybe like just start a little chat and ask us questions or how to cope with certain things, please do contact us. Email me or message me, and we'll get something together. That'd be really nice, and just to be with a group of people that we can all help each other, because that's what we're here for in life.
Yes.
And the last thing I wanted to say, because we're running a little bit over, is that freedom and space leads to creativity. Because when we are creating whatever it is, when we're truly throwing ourselves into creation, we're free. And when we're free, we can create. So it's a beautiful thing to find something that you really enjoy doing, throw yourself into it with your heart and your soul, take that focus directly to that creativity point, and be free, because you're free to create not only the world that you live in, but also design or art or cooking
or gardening, or
writing,
painting,
eating. I'm good at that, unfortunately. So on that note, I wanted to say thank you to everybody watching, and my ladies, my beautiful Susanna and Linda. Yeah, again, you brighten up my day. And the sun's out, and I'm going to go see my sister a bit later and take my child out on his half-term holidays, as you do. We're going to go to the field and get Tiki running. That's the idea today. So everyone out there, we're sending you all the love in the world. Be free. Be free.
Feel free.
feel free. Yeah,
Feel
Choose to
free.
feel free.
Yeah, feel
Just
free.
So I'm going to just quit live. Contact us. Remember, if you want to